Hello everyone, Simon Jacobson here. Another episode of Meaningful Live. The ladder of life. Dealing with ups and downs. This program is dedicated in honor of Gloria Gittel with gratitude and warm wishes on her birthday. The ladder of life. Famous dream in the Bible, Jacob's dream, Jacob's ladder. Where he falls asleep on the Temple Mount. He's traveling on his way from his hometown in Israel. He's going to Haran, to a much more difficult and hostile environment. Falls asleep and has a dream. In his dream, he sees a ladder that is firmly planted on the ground, but the top of the ladder is reaching and touching heaven itself. And then he sees angels going up and down this ladder. And that's where God appears to him, shares a vision, a promise. Don't be afraid. Wherever you travel, I will be with you and give you the power and strength not only to survive, but to thrive. Famous classic verse where he says to Jacob, God says to Jacob, I promise you that your children will spread, literally spread all over the earth, from east to west, from north to south. And Jacob wakes up, realizes this is a very special place, a holy place, and this gives him the strength to be able to continue his journey where he would meet his uncle, the criminal, the wily and deceptive Lavan, ultimately build his family there, spend 20 years, and then return back home. The truth is, it's the story of all our lives. The story of Jacob is the story of each of our souls coming into this world. A soul, a pure, divine, transcendent entity entering into this material existence and facing the challenges of life. And we know how difficult life can be. Even when a person is completely blessed, we still have challenges, whether it's health issues, financial matters, relationships, emotional, personal, psychological, internal, interpersonal. Everyone's got their we call their peckle, their baggage, their challenges, their issues. And we deal with it in many different ways. Some of us are challenged more than others, but nobody is immune to the wear and tear and the challenge and the difficulties of life, the ups and downs of life. And sometimes we feel alone, we feel we can't make it, we don't know where there'll be hope from, especially as we go on in life. Some of us develop resignation, to a point where we don't feel that we really can live up to the aspirations and dreams and the idealism of our youth. Everyone has their story. You all know your story, to some extent at least. What is so powerful about this story is that the fact, firstly, that it happened so many thousands of years ago, and it's still relevant today, just as it was then. The story that we come into this world, yes, with many challenges, but we're also, for every challenge, given strengths. When people are faced with something really difficult, we often ask, why? Why did this happen to me? And why not? Why am I not blessed like others are? We're always looking, the grass seems greener elsewhere, without us really knowing that who knows what other people are going through. But that's what we ask, why? The real question that we have to ask is not why, but we have to ask ourselves is, where do we get the strength to deal with it? And what we're really looking for is not answers, but strength, especially when we're dealing with true, real serious setbacks. So in this case, Jacob was entering a very dark place. He was going to deal with a lot of forces that were in every way possible would challenge him. And yet we find that's where he built his family and his home. And ultimately empowered his own children, until this very day, the Jewish people, with the ability to endure anything. And that's because he understood the story of the ladder. That though we live in this earth, but we also given the capacity to build a ladder, to build a bridge, an interface between heaven and earth, an interface between spirit and matter, an interface between functioning, surviving, and transcendence. That's what a ladder represents. It represents elevation. but not elevation in a form of escape, but in a form of integration, where we connect earth and heaven. And upon it are angels, and they're going up and down. The question is asked, angels come from heaven, they should first be going down, then up. And the answer is no, because the angels were with Jacob down below, and the ones below with him, helping him, supporting him, protecting him, also first went up, and then the angels come down. We're also told this ladder represents prayer that has 4 rungs, 4 stages. True prayer is emotional growth or emotional journey, like a ladder. So the ladder has so many different symbolisms in the context of our own lives that the first thing we need to know to deal with any challenges, you need to build a ladder in your life. You need to know there's a ladder available to you, that you're not stuck in one place, you can climb. And the interesting thing about a ladder is not you don't have to jump. Ladder has rungs, step by step by step. And when you do that, you recognize that your life is a journey, and like every journey, a journey does have ups and downs and ups, and all kinds of twists and turns. That's exactly what a journey is. The interesting thing is that we sometimes create the illusion that life is static. We become couch potatoes. We become immobile. Especially in today's modern age, all you got to do is sit in your couch. You have a remote, and you're changing channels, and you're moving from one place to the next. But you don't have to move. You could just sit in one place. Everyone else is moving for you. You're living vicariously through others. That's the key thing to remember. Just feel your heartbeat. Your heartbeat never stops. No one else is beating your heart. You have to beat your own heart, which means there's the contraction, the expansion of the heart, the breath, the exhale and the inhale. Life is mobile. Always remember that. We're always moving from one place to another, even if you don't feel that way, even if you feel trapped or locked or paralyzed or frozen. That's how it is. I've shared often this story with a cardiologist that came to one of my classes. One of the sweetest people I know, but had a lot of challenges in his life, personal, other issues. Once he came to me really exhausted. He says, I can't take it anymore. Please pray for me. I have one day of total serenity, total peace, total quiet, calm. He had a good sense of humor, so I said to him, so doctor, you want to have like a flat line? He said, no, not that calm. We all know a flat line, especially a cardiologist knows, a flat line is not what you want to see on a cardiogram. You don't want to see a flat line. You want to see waves. That's what a cardiogram is healthy waves. You want it to be balanced, not extreme peaks or deep valleys, but that's life. Life looks like that, a wave, constantly moving like that. A flat line is a sign of a stopped heart, it's a sign of death, because life should never stop. It's always moving. And unfortunately, we sometimes slow down. We slow down and don't realize that if you want to maintain real growth in life, you need to ride and align yourself with the rhythms of life, like flow with the waves, not resist them and not fall back. You constantly need to go with the waves. And when the waves are going up, you rise with them. And when they go down, you go down with them. That's what a wise person does. You navigate. You learn to navigate. You can't control it. Another illusion in our lives that we think we can control things. You can't control circumstances. You control how you navigate them. A good swimmer is exactly that. They know how to navigate the waves of life. So the ladder represents all of that. In many ways, it has the elements of growth, of movement, of up and down, and it's a constant flow. It's what it is, a constant pulsating flow. That's what life truly is. The Kabbalists referred to it the flow of Rotzeh and Shuv, which literally means it's from the vision of Ezekiel in the prophet. He says he saw the energy running and returning, to and fro. Which can also be translated as tension and resolution, contraction and expansion. So there's always that need in life. You see every electric current, a positive and negative. That's what creates energy, like a pump, like the pump of the heart. Create energy, you need to always have these two movements, the fluidity, and not allow ourselves to become stagnant and static and frozen in place. That's not what life is about. Life is movement. the fluidity of life, the pulsating motion, the pulsating of subatomic particles, of a life of a world that is dynamic, not dead. Today we know that is constantly dynamic, whether you see it or not. And connecting to that really allows you to get through the challenges of life, because you realize everything's on a journey to another place. So while you're there, recognize the story is not over. The narrative is not over. It's frames, each frame leading to the next one. This is what Jacob was implanted in him in that dream. And he realized the power of that. That yes, he's now on a journey. He's going to a darker place than he was, but it's a journey. And there's a purpose in each leg of this journey. And when you embrace that, and you sense that sense of mission and purpose, that's what gives you the ability to navigate, that you always remain the captain of the ship. It's not always going to be easy, because at times you can feel so down and so in the abyss that you feel there's no way out. But keep in mind, as long as you keep moving, there's always a way out. The trap would be where you give up and don't recognize that you're on that journey. You deceive yourself, or you allow yourself to be deceived by the fact that you've come to a dead end. Never a dead end. It's a constant source of movement. So the ladder captures that idea. In a sense, each of us has to find a way to pray. I say this in a universal sense, not in any particular parochial or religious context. Prayer is allowing your heart, it's called service of the heart, allowing your heart to move and not be locked and not be trapped, to constantly have that, because besides the contraction and expansion, which is the physical heartbeat, there's also the emotional heartbeat of recognizing that emotions are always shifting, and emotions are by nature are by nature constantly on the move. That's what an emotion is. That's what feelings should be like. There's certain things in life that need to be solid, like solid foundations that you want in place, unwavering. But there are other things that you want to experience the beauties of life and the changes and the shifts of the seasons, of moods, of the ups and downs, of the twists and turns. But when you recognize that it's all part of that bigger picture, it's a whole different story. Take music. Music is all about movement. Music is also emotional movement. And that's where you see where life comes, where a person comes most to life. It's not even how old you are, how young you are. You can be 90 years old, but have that fluidity, have that movement, have that musical touch, that light touch, that dance in your step, where you constantly feel that certain lightness of spirit. That's a story, and that's the story of dealing with everything in life. We're living now in times of a lot of volatility. Everyone knows that we're in some form of transition, some historic events that are taking place. You just sense it. You sense uncertainty. You realize that if anything happens today, it shouldn't be a surprise, because surprises are constantly around us. The world is going through shifts. There are wars being fought. I speak now about the Middle East and Ukraine. You turn on the news, you never know what the next piece of news is going to be. We hope and pray only for good news, but then things happen. There are setbacks, and there are challenges, and there are deaths, unfortunately, and there's bloodshed, and there's worse, brutality. But there's also the beautiful spirit of human beings, the nobility, the elegance, the eloquence of our spirits that emerges in times of challenge. And that's what we're called upon. We are in a unique time in history, and we have a responsibility, because firstly to ourselves and to our children and to our families, because every time is leading to the next time. You want to be able to look back at these times and say, how did we do? And the key thing is not to feel like you're some bystander or onlooker or spectator, that you are part of the unfolding drama. You're part of the journey. You're the traveler. And the journey is on a ladder that's going up and down, and it's a ladder that is binding together two worlds, the world of spirit and the world of matter. That's what we all need to recognize. Our job is to spiritualize the material world, to recognize that money and power and all material possessions are not an end in itself, they're means. That we have to tap them for their energy to be able to feed beautiful things in life, to feed kindness and graciousness and gratitude and bringing light into the world. And even when there is a dark moment or a few dark moments, that darkness can also be harnessed and channeled and converted and transformed into light and energy. And Jacob stands as a role model, an example of someone who did that thousands of years ago, documented, and remains a story that still in so many ways captures our imagination. There's the dream, the journey, the ladder that connects, a ladder that connects earth to heaven and heaven to earth. So when you ask the question, where does heaven meet earth? The answer is right at your doorstep. It's up to you to build those ladders. It's up to you to climb them, to bring them back down, to grow and feel that sense of tension and angst to grow to higher places, but then at the same time to integrate it and bring it back down to earth. And I'll conclude with a beautiful story that I share often, have it in my book, Toward a Meaningful Life, that one of the great mystics and one of the great rebbes, when he was a young child, he was playing with other children on a ladder. And all the children were afraid to climb to the top of the ladder. He was the only one that climbed to the top. His grandfather, the great Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi, the author of the Tanya, he asked his grandson afterwards, he said to him, I was watching you play with the other children. Why were you the only one that had the courage to climb to the top of the ladder? So he said, very simple, Zayd, grandpa. He said, when the other children climbed, they kept looking down, so they saw how high they were. They were afraid to climb higher. When I was climbing, I kept looking up. I saw how low I was, so it motivated me to climb higher. So it's all how we look at life. When we look down, when we look at people who are less accomplished than ourselves, it's not a great motivation when we look at the past. But when you look ahead, you look at others that have accomplished much, you look up, you see new horizons, it motivates you, it pushes you to climb. And that's what we need to think of in life, looking up, seeing the ladder going up, keep on climbing and climbing and climbing. But always remember that every climb needs to be integrated, it needs to be internalized. You need the balance, the wave. You need the perfect balance of the tension and the resolution. May we be blessed with only having good news to share. And when there are the different twists and turns and the different vicissitudes and waves that lift us and sometimes bring us down, keep in mind it's all part of that cycle. It's all part of one cycle that leads us to a journey that goes higher and higher and integrates it into all our lives and into every fiber of our beings. Be blessed and be well. This has been Simon Jacobson. We're here every week. This is a Sunday special that we do every week, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. So obviously it's recorded and archived, so please subscribe to all our offerings, our YouTube channel. Our website is meaningfullife.com. Love to hear your feedback, your thoughts, your comments, and of course always share with anyone you see fit. Be blessed and be well. Thank you.